Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Syncretism with Santos Bonacci. Today is March 8th and March 9th, where Santos is in Australia. Now, the topic of this week's show is part 2 of the electricity show that started last week.
Thank you, everyone, and listeners. It's very nice to be with you again with the best subject that we could possibly discuss, which is syncretism and, of course, electricity. Electricity is a wonderful force of creation. Everything created atomically has electrical charge, currents of electricity running through the universe, creating four solid states of matter. Four states of matter, I should say. Fire, air, water, and earth in the Platonic system. Today, generally, you would speak of radiance, gas, liquid, and solid. And so, what a better subject. I'm just always in awe of the subject that can bring all the sciences together. So, with today's topic of electricity, as discussed last week, we looked at the sine wave. So, we are going to be understanding electricity through the sine wave. That's all we're going to be doing. It's very simple. Just the sine wave. And it has the ability, as I've always presented in my presentations, electricity and the sine wave and the ecliptic has the ability to syncretize all the sciences, because everything is based off of the sine wave. In the electrical world of effect, the physical world of effect, because everything is vibrating. Atoms. They are vibrations. They spin and tumble. Atoms spin and tumble. And little in toroidal fields, erroneously called spirals, but they are helical, you see. And they have the golden mean ratio all throughout nature. Electricity likes to express itself through the Fibonacci golden mean, golden section, golden ratio, Ra-Dio, which is another way of saying God, ratio, Ra-Dio. It's actually the same word as radio, Ra-God, both instances. So the golden ratio, well, golden is another way of saying God, and God is nothing other than generation, operation, dissolution. Everything in the electrical world is three-phase. It is born, it grows, and it dies. And that's God. That's God expressing himself as the creator, not prime creator. Prime creator is causal and controlling the world of effect. And the world of effect is the world of the wave, the thought wave. The demiurgos is thinking, the demon creator. Everything is demon. All of matter and substance is demon, because that's what demon means. It comes from that stem of atomic words, tom, dem, adam, atom. This has been covered in the shows in the weeks gone by. I would recommend to anyone to just go over them again and again, and hopefully they're available so you can just listen to them whenever you want, and go to sleep with them and stuff like that, because these presentations and shows on syncretism are based on the wave. So everything you're learning is based on that wave. So last week we learnt about the sine wave as we divided it into 12 segments. We learnt about the 12 parts of the wave, and we learnt about the fire, the radiant part, which is 1/4 of this world's constitution. Fire, radiance. Remember, there's 4 states: radiance and temperature, light, call it all of those words, and then there's the gas, the liquid, and the solid. And the sine wave is responsible for creating these 4 states because it's responsible for everything. Everything is a sine wave. Everything has an ecliptic, and every wave is divided into 2 halves, 4 quadrants, 8 45-degree pies called the Dharma wheel, the Chakana over in Ecuador, the Mandala over in India, and the wave is also divided into 12. Because Atum, which is electricity, says I am the one who becomes 2, then 4, then 8, after which I return to 1 again. This is simply talking about the ecliptic, because atom is around the ecliptic. And the ecliptic is an electrical ecliptic, an electrical phenomena. It is universal mind thinking. There's the word atom in the word thinking. T-I-N, atom. So it's an atomic thinking universe, you see, built by words. Electricity is the word. It makes sound. It is sound. Vibration, sound. It is the word. It's the word of God, of generation, operation, dissolution. And because it's vibration, it's abrasion. Abrasion is born of stillness. And so as we learn about the wave, we learn about these 12 segments, and they are a mixture of 3 phases: birth, growth, decay, which in astrology is called cardinal, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. In theology, we have it as creator, preserver, destroyer. In religion also, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, mixed with the 4 states of matter. So 3 phases mixed with 4 states. And that's what the wave is expressing. It's a language. This is why we have the science of etymology. Would that be etymology? Yes, it would. In fact, how many other sciences have the word atom in them? Here's a short list. If you've got pen and paper, it would be handy. Anatomy, astronomy, twice, aton and atom in the word astronomy, 2 atoms. Etymology, kymatics, botany, meteorology, mathematics, twice, mat. There she is, Tammy, backwards, or Tanit as the Phoenicians called her. Tanit. And see, then they moved over to Britannia, the Britons, from the Queen of the Heavens, Tanit, the Phoenician goddess. Right there, hiding in the word mathematics, twice. Orthodontics, anthropology, chemistry, dentistry, natural science. There it is. There's Nat hiding right in the word natural, because Tanit, queen of nature, is the word nature in the mirror. What's a metonymy? What do you do when you synthesize? There's tin hiding in the word synthesize. It's all atomic. Okay, so the wave, the sine wave, obviously has two halves. And as a wheel, it also has four quadrants, four 90-degree pies, four quadrants. These correspond to in the yearly cycle, the four seasons: spring, summer. These are the vegetation part. And then autumn and winter. This is the hunting part of the year, you see, because spring and summer bring the heat and the warmth and the moisture for the plants to grow, and then the autumn and the winter bring about the dormancy of the year. The sun goes to sleep, you see. It goes into the wintry coldness to die on the 21st of December, St. Thomas Day, and it goes there to die, to be crucified. St. Thomas, the sun, you see. And so this is hell, winter, inferno. And so winter is where the sun is cold and things cannot grow. So they enter into a transitory state, and to be reborn again in the sign of Aries in spring, and then the blossom is the indication that the year has begun and life has come back onto the ecliptic. So that blossom of Aries, and that's the crossing of the Lamb, you see, the Passover. So in the yearly cycle, we see the good bits are above, spring and summer, the golden and the silver age, and autumn and winter would be the bronze and the iron age, you see. And what we learnt last week about the wave was we learnt about 1/4 of the wave. We just learnt about the part of the wave which produces what is radiant in the universe. And the part of the sine wave that produces radiance in 3 phases are the first 30 degrees, the 5th lot of 30 degrees, and the 9th. So when you have the sine wave in 12 30-degree pies, and you're looking at it in front of you, the sine wave, you see, it always begins with radiation, because that's the positive quadrant of the whole sine wave. Because the second part of the sine wave, which we're going to commence to talk about today, which is the negative part starting at the Tropic of Cancer, that's what we're going to be doing today. But last week we just did the one element, really, which is the radiant element. And along the sine wave, radiance is produced only in those 3 30-degree segments. And they are cardinal radiance, fixed radiance, and mutable radiance. And along the ecliptic, we learned last week that this corresponds with the first 30 degrees radiance corresponds with the blossom of Aries, and it is the Aries fire sign. It's the first sign in astrology and also in astronomy, because that's where 0 degrees, right ascension of meridian begins, right at the equinox, 21st of March, every year, without fail, the sun hits that point on the ecliptic and runs. 1 day, 1 degree. And for 30 degrees along the ecliptic, any photon, any particle, or whatever you want to name, it's just thought waves. Every thought wave begins with Aries, with that trumpet blowing Zohar, the Zophar, the book of creation, the Sefer Yetzirah. Everything starts with the start of that spiral, that golden mean, golden ratio cycle. And it all begins with radiance in the cardinal state. It cannot begin with radiance in the fixed state. Can't be fixed. The ecliptic cannot begin with a fixed, which is the growth part of any cycle. It cannot. It has to begin with the birth growth. And the birth growth is the cardinal part. That's why along the sine wave, when you mark out the sine wave in 4 quadrants, where Aries is, that is the cardinal part of radiance. Where Cancer is, 90 degrees removed, that is the cardinal part of liquid. Liquid is produced at that part of the wave. Then when you come to the other equinox, the 21st of September, and you enter into the other equilibrium part of the sine wave, where balance is found, and there is Libra, the 7th sign, the scales. And that there is where the gaseous part of the universe is produced along the sine wave. And then when you come to the Tropic of Capricorn, this part here, this is the Earth. This is where Earth and solid things. So you notice that Capricorn and Cancer, the 2 extremities, the solstices, there is liquid and solid. You see, so you understand how the sine wave works as it breathes.
We lost connection with Santos. Hello?
How long did I drop off for?
Just a few seconds. The table is yours, Santos.
All right, go again. Do you want me to continue now, guys? Sorry. Okay, recording, yeah? All right. Yeah, so look, I better look in the chat room, make sure I'm getting any messages if I'm dropping off. Let me do that. Yep. All right, let me know how I'm going, guys, if there's any more dropping off or whatever. So what we are now doing, you see, with the sine wave, is you are learning its language. That's all we're doing. And we're doing it in the most simple way. I have chosen to explain the sine wave through those 4 states that scientists and academics and all kinds of people today can digest and comprehend. Because we all know about the 4 states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And so everyone is instructed in this way of seeing the world, because it's quote unquote acceptable, you see, in the world. But whereas the science of astrology talks about these states as fire, liquid, air, and earth, and this is the same thing that is spoken about. There's no difference, you see. And so with syncretism, and syncretism being based on the wave, which is electrical phenomena, well, the wave would be the best teacher to teach about electricity, L. L is God, based on the electron, you see. The electron is is such a famous little chappy in history. If people only realised who L was, man, I mean, he's just everywhere. It's Israel, it's Emmanuel, as in Jesus Christ, his true name, according to the legend, the myth, the gospel. L has been around. Bel, the beautiful one, Belus, and the belly. See, that's why we have a tummy and a belly. Tammuz and Belus, the gods of wine. You see? L, the electron, very, very famous little chappy, when you know who you're talking about. He is the negative half, so-called negative half of electricity, which is proton and electron. Proton is the positive. It's these are basically the two twins, the twin force of electricity, you know. And electricity is expressed through the word atom, because atom means, or rather, tom means twin, and that is proven. I've done that in the past few shows, dealing with which are we still on? Yeah, it looks like we are. Okay. I got, yeah, okay, just looking at the chat and the message there. Sorry, guys. And so atom, or rather tom, will express electrical force in all languages. That sound, tom, dom, din, tin. And it's because that's the creative sound of the wave. That's the sound of the wave. It is sound. The sine wave is sound, and it is electrical sound. They are married together. This is the light of the demiurgos. Ademiurgos. Because that light is a different light to magnetic and gravitational light. That's the source of electrical vibratory light. And they are so different. And they are the two worlds, the two gods, the prime creator and the creator. The creator is the tyrant. Have a look at the word tyrant. T-I-N. Tyranny. Tyranny. Atomic tyranny. And all those words have to do with electricity being inferior but beautiful, hence Bel, electricity, beautiful, but consisting of good and evil. In other words, there's some polarity. There's some good bits and there's some bad bits. So the sine wave has its good bits and it has its bad bits. Goes off balance and it goes back to balance. And so in Aries and Libra, the first and the seventh sign along the ecliptics, there is the equator. That's balanced along the sine wave. So everything's nice there. These are the holy, holy portions along the ecliptic. And so the sine wave goes like this. It always begins with cardinal fire. Or, let's go back to basics, cardinal radiance. It must. That is the start. And all sciences acknowledge 0 degrees Aries as the beginning of the sine wave. The year used to begin there in all cultures. In all cultures, the year began on the 21st of March. And then the Roman calendar came a subjugating. And in England, they succumbed to the Roman Julian Gregorian calendar in the year 1748. 1748. And they stopped starting the year at the 21st of March, hence the 25th of March was really the true beginning, because the New Year's Eve was the 24th of March, my birthday. And the 25th of March is the Conception Day, is it not? Ladies' Day. And so on the 1st of April was really New Year's Day. They always did, just like they do in January, with January the 1st, you see. But the January the 1st harks back to December the 21st. And so the same happens with the April Fool's Day. You see, the English were discouraged from paying homage to their ancient calendar of beginning the year on March the 25th by calling all those pagans who celebrated the New Year then April Fools, because that was how the secular practice was, to wait 10 days after the solstice and the equinox, and then should be counted the beginning of the year, hence January the 1st and April the 1st, April Fool's Day. So the Catholics that conquered the world with the beginning of the calendar there where the ecliptic truly begins is the Roman calendar. You see, the JC calendar, Anno Domini, of anal domination, which is over. You know, that ended in 2012. So that kingdom is finished, the Petrine kingdom. And so in the yearly cycle, we learn how everything starts with the blossom. And that is the first third, that's the effect of the sun being on the ecliptic. That's the visual effect, that's the sign of that kind of radiance producing the blossom, required to produce the blossom. Then over in midsummer, that's where the next part of the radiance occurs along the ecliptic. And that's where the dog days happen, we learned last week. That's when the flooding of the Nile occurs. So you have the hot temperature and the moist liquid coming together to give the dog days along the ecliptic. So the ecliptic now is speaking to us. There is more radiance in the summer. That's the fixed part of radiance. That's the fixed part of Ra. So that's where that element, radiance, plasma, is fixed. It's fixed right there where Leo is, on the ecliptic. Then where Sagittarius is, that's the decaying part of radiance along the ecliptic. That's the third quadrant. It's the ninth part of the ecliptic. It's the ninth 30-degree segment of the sine wave, and it is where fire and radiance now is weak. It's mutable. It has changed. Mutation is a change. And so for the last quadrant of 90 degrees, there is no radiance representation, because that, along the sine wave, that is what we spoke about and learnt last week about the ecliptic. Now let's have a look at the other three states. And so we do have posted the graphics, dear friends, on her website there, and you can see the beautiful graphics. The other three elements and states of gas and liquid and solid. We're going to have a look at those. We're going to see where those states are produced along the ecliptic, because that's where we find them. Now, so nothing is being invented here. Nothing is being created. This is information that is there. So you might want to go look for those graphics there. Would you like to jump in and explain how to get them? Beautiful. Thank you very much. And so what I'll be doing is I'll just go ahead as though everyone were had the the graphics in front of them, and the first one would be the one that we did last week, of course. So we would have the red one, okay? We've done the radiance in red and 3 shades of red. So thank you, Ruth. We've adjusted that. I've tried to get the concept of the cardinal part being the boldest. So you see that we're going to look at the 4 quadrants of the sine wave, and every time the state of matter that is being created along the sine wave electrically that is represented will have a color and a shade. So the radiant part here is the first one. It's red. Then we go to the blue one, which is the liquid part of the sine wave. Then the next one in order will be the green one, which we've given to the gas. And then the last one will be the solid one, which is the brown, in 3 shades. They're all in 3 shades. And those 3 shades, of course, the bold ones are always sitting on the equinoxes and the solstices, is what I call of the sine wave. So, horizontally and vertically, that cross there, that is the cardinal cross. So on top of your churches and your Celtic cross, those are cardinal crosses, okay? And because it's directly horizontal and upright vertical, that only is 1/3 of the crosses. There is a fixed cross and there is also a mutable cross. And these are the 3 phases: birth, growth, decay. And so beginning with that red part of the sine wave, which is radiant now, what we are understanding here is that here is where warmth and a certain kind of positive energy is injected into the wave field. And these are thought waves. So this is universal mind thinking. Sorry to be labouring this point and to be labouring all the sciences that need to be incorporated and understood to be able to really appreciate the sine wave and how much language it expresses. It's all language. And it's atomic language, and it is etymology. Atomology. For everything is atom. All is atom. There you go. Alrighty, so the next, let's start with the blue, friends. So let's have a look at that. And what you're seeing here now is you're seeing negative. So radiance was positive. Let's call it, these are the 4 polarities we're going to learn about today. We're going to learn about positive, negative, neutral, and transitory. And we're going to link those up with spring, summer, autumn, winter, and the usual culprits. You know the ones. If you're good with your syncretism, you won't, have to scratch your head. They are all there. Gold, silver, bronze, iron. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. It's all the same stuff. It's the sine wave. And everything is a sine wave. Look at the daily cycle. What do you get? You get some day bits where you can look around, and you get some night bits where you can't see without a flame. Light. Artificial light, or reflected light from the sun or from stars or whatever. Venus is able to produce a shadow on the earth. So that's how bright Venus is. You've got the sun producing shadows on the earth. You have the moon and you have Venus. Lucifer. Eve, Venus. Our mother Eve. And this sine wave, now what you're looking at, this blue part, this is the Eve part. The red part, that is the Ram part. Radiance. So already, just in half of the sine wave, in 180 degrees of the sine wave, we've found the positive and the negative combined. You would think that negative would be directly opposite positive. But no. No. There are 4 polarities here, and Walter Russell was right on the money. He spoke about these 4 polarities. And these are the 4 polarities, the 4 states. There's not just positive and negative. There's positive, negative, neutral, and transitory along the ecliptic. And positive and negative we've just looked at. Radiance is the positive injection. Ra, Ram, Aries. And this part of the sine wave now, you can see, begins when the sun hits the Tropic of Cancer. And that sign there, that bold blue, and with the word liquid in it there, which is from 90 degrees to 120 degrees along the sine wave, that is Cancer, the moon. The moon is the ruler of Cancer. The sun is the ruler of Aries, the exalter of Aries. It exalts in Aries. Here we go. Here's another beautiful thing. Please pay attention. Paying attention. Look at the word attention. So pay attention. The sun rules in Leo. 5 points of essential dignity. All Leos have 5 points of essential dignity. Interesting. The sun exalts in Aries. All Arians have 4 points of essential dignity in astrology, because the sun exalts in Aries and the sun is domiciled in Leo. And so these correspond to Aries, the blossom, and Leo, the roaring midsummer ripening of the grapes, Dionysus at his best. And so when you look at what we've already learned about the radiance, Ra part of the sine wave, and we look at it properly with all our eyes open, mythologically, etymologically, and all of the sciences, no bias, then our eyes are open. You see, this is why if you eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, your eyes will most certainly be opened. Because the fruit is the sine wave. And your eyes are open when you see the science speaking to you. It's a language. And that is the eating from the fruit. Fruit is just an anagram for truth. Truth, fruit, truth. When you eat of truth, the sine wave, the sin of Eve. So what we're doing here now is we're looking at cosine. You see? Ra, radiance, along the ecliptic, that was the sine wave where it begins. And here we've got little girl, Cancer, the moon, where liquid occurs along the ecliptic, liquid state, where electricity produces what is known to be liquid in the universe. And that's the silvery moon. And that is cosine. You see, so she, Eve, Isis, the moon, who is ruler there in Cancer, the bride of Ra, radiance, the sun in Aries, exalting. You see, this is the marriage of Cana. Cana is Cancer. You can just, the play on words is just startlingly obvious. Cana, Cancer. And so what you've got here is the two protagonists along the ecliptic. Radiance and liquid, the superstars, positive and negative. You know, their fame in mythology is just, wow, renown. The moon, Isis. Liquid, what is liquid? Because you see, she's known, she likes to be known, water likes to be known in her liquid state. But as ice, solid state, Isis, she's also in her glory. But what about when she's evaporized into gas? Then she's a little princess in the heavens. She's the holy dove. You see? It's talking about water. Maria, Ave Maria, the wave, the sine wave. And that's what we're looking at today. Mythologically, astrologically, scientifically, whatever science you want to contemplate. It matters not. It's all on the ecliptic. The ecliptic is the language of the universe. And so, and it's not rocket science, guys. We're just a community of broad-minded, simple folk who love truth and resonate with it and don't agree with cognitive dissonance. We don't agree with this system's approach to destroying true knowledge, you see, through mockery and through, massive attacks. And hence astrology has been shunned. Whereas look at what the Islamists did for hundreds of years. Astrology was included in their sciences, in their canon of, in their what they considered to be science, true science. The Islamists and the Arab astrologers, the great, Al-Biruni. The names just don't come to me right now, but please have a look at this vast richness of wisdom which came from that era into the world and created and generated the Renaissance in Italy. That was through the Arabic wisdom that they were treasuring and spreading there in their culture when they accepted and acknowledged astrology to be, a true and pure science. And then, of course, there was a falling away. The whole world is really, I would say the Western world, friends, because I don't see this with the Hindus. They are all well-versed in the science of astrology, you see. So in India, this corruption did not really prevent the science of astrology from being, acknowledged. I think with the English invasion of India, though, that may have changed. Academically, they might now just, put it aside. But India is a great culture of astrology, and the Arabs in particular. And so this is why it's so important to incorporate it in this beautiful language of the sine wave. So that's what we're doing here. Let's not be mistaken. This is what we're doing, is we're letting the sine wave speak to us. And now, so if we go to the third graphic, now we have, this is the color green. This is the gaseous part along the ecliptic. And so you see where the bold green is, the seventh pi along the sine wave. You see, that's the cardinal part. And so, if this graph were circular, you would find now that this seventh portion is directly opposite the first portion. Very important to notice this element, that this gas is opposite where radiance is generated. Gas is generated here, as in generate, as in God, generation, operation, dissolution. So gas is beginning here. This is where he is born, this part of nature. Nature gets to be born here along the ecliptic. The sine wave expresses that kind of condition, that vibration necessary to produce. And nature is wonderful because, you see, remember, sine and cosine, this science is reflected in the, see, in the northern hemisphere is directly opposite the seasons in the southern hemisphere, right? So now it's warm here in Australia, whereas it's cold in the northern hemisphere for the northern listeners. And so this is how nature is so beautiful. You see that she expresses her nature through the ecliptic in the opposite hemisphere of northern and southern. And so you see that in the southern hemisphere, that radiance is now flipped over. And we have the blossom, opposite the March in the September. You see, so what you're seeing is this brother and sister dance, where they, the hemispheres are reflecting each other, and you see a dance of the sine wave in pure bisexual union. Because that's what the sine wave is. It's two-sexed. It's two-sexed, and it has the four polarities. The yin and yang symbol always has, whether it's the white and black version or the red and blue version, there's two versions. And with the red and blue version, which is a great image to focus on, really, folks. It's a really good meditative symbol. Meditate. Med, of course, is atomic. To meditate. And so there is always a little bit of red in the blue, and there's always a bit of blue in the red. And this is the symbol of eternity, the four polarities. So let's proceed then with this third graphic. So we see where the cardinal is produced there. That's Libra. And then the fixed part is Aquarius. That's another fixed sign. That's fixed air. Pay attention to that one. That one is where we are at in the ages of precession. We are in that age of fixed air, Aquarius. Before that, we were in mutable water, which if we go back to the water ones, let's go back to the water graphic, graphic number 2, and we've got Cancer was the bold cardinal part of liquid. Then there is Scorpio, you see? That's the lighter shade of the liquid along the ecliptic. That's where Scorpio is a fixed water, you see? Autumn, the fixed autumn watery, that's the water of fixed Scorpio, November energy, right there along the ecliptic. And then, of course, the last portion there of the ecliptic, the last 30 degrees along the sine wave, belongs to the negative mutable liquid, Pisces. Okay, so the reason I wanted to jump back to this graphic is because I wanted to point out that Pisces is the last age that we were in. And Pisces is a mutable water age. Mutable water. You've got to understand how those elements have conditioned the last 2,000 years of history, dear friends, to understand and how different the age of Aquarius is in nature to the age of Pisces we've just been through. In fact, I'll be turning 52 in a couple of weeks, really, March the 24th. So, 52, a cusp is 50 years. So I was born in 63. The cusp of Aquarius, where Aquarius began, was the 5th of February, 1962, a year before I was born. And the end of that 50-year cusp was the end of 2012, where Pisces and Aquarius mixed together in a cusp. And hence all of look at the last 50 years, guys. Have a good look along the ecliptic of the last 50 years, the cusp of Pisces and Aquarius. And you really begin to understand how the turmoil that we have been through. And the reason I say that Aquarius began, well, I can tell you exactly when the age of Aquarius began. It was in 7 o'clock in the morning. 7 o'clock in the morning, 5th of February 1962, when all the planets were on the horizon in the sign of Aquarius. All the visible planets were on the horizon at 7 o'clock in the morning on the 5th of February 1962. That is a sure good sign that the age of Aquarius begins, because this does not ever happen. You know what I mean? The 7 visible planets in one sign, and in particular Aquarius. Funny about that. Couldn't have been, let's say, wow, Libra. Libra's nice. I like Libra. My son's Libran. My grandmother was Libran. She had an Aryan daughter, my mother, who had an Aryan son, who had a Libran son. Funny, isn't it? Astrology. When you pay attention, you see a lot of this stuff. And so, no, it had to be Aquarius, didn't it? 7 planets, all lined up, the moon and the sun rising together, new moon. It was a new moon day. They were together. That's a new moon. Together in Aquarius, sun and moon. Together with the other 5 planets. Saturn, Jupiter, the big boys. Mars was in there too. Mercury and Venus. All the visible planets rising together in the morning, 7 o'clock, everywhere on the planet Earth. Now, I know I'm pretty much exhausting how much I can labour this point about Aquarius and this cusp. And so, why? So that we can appreciate the fixed air sign. We are going to be truly baptized with the fixed air, spirit. Spirit is air. It's the Holy Spirit. Aquarius is the versing or the pouring of the Holy Spirit. And in those days, I will pour my Spirit upon my children, and they will prophesy and dream dreams and speak in tongues. Well, everyone's speaking in tongues. We're all atonists because our tongue is aton, because it's tonic. It's tuned. It's funny because the word tuned is stonato in Italian, and in English that would be stoned. So when you're stoned, you are stonato. You're high or you're out of tune. See, if I play my guitar stonato, you don't want that. You want it to be tonato, I guess. So, hence you see the it's all about light. Stoned, tone. It's tone. So to be stoned would be out of tone, or in a higher tone, which means you would be high. You see how words speak to us? And so, now, yeah, I guess, well, that's laboured the point about Aquarius. It's that fixed air, it's fixed gas, it's that precious element that is humane. You see, all of these signs astrologically, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, pay attention to this. These are the man signs. Gemini, the twins, Pollux and Castor. Aquarius, the man, or the woman. Sometimes it's a woman. It's, yeah, look, there's Gemini beautifully expressing boy-girl. Cain and Abel. Horus and Set, Pollux and Castor. And then when you go over to Libra, you have always a man or a woman in the scales, holding the scales up. On the courtrooms, on top of the courtrooms, the woman who is holding up the scales, Venus or Eve, who is level, even, holding the scales evenly. Well, that's Libra. That's all about the sign of Libra and balance, the 7th sign. Tishri in the Jewish system, where Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Judgment Day, Atonement Day. Well, that's interesting. September 21st equinox is called At-One-ment Day. Funny about that. Real funny about that. At-One-ment Day, you see, because that equinox is at one-ment. Of course Atonement Day is going to be there, the Festival of Tabernacles, the Festival of Booths, to remind us that we are to live in booths. The winter is coming now, the sun has crossed the 21st of September. We're going down into our huts to be protected from the cold now, so hence the Festival of Tabernacles in Libra, Tishri, the first of the secular signs of the Jews. Interesting that all of these religious festivals happen in these cardinal signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, where all of the elements, solid, liquid, gas, and water, liquid rather, all of them are in their cardinal phase, hence the cardinal cross of Thomas, atom, creating, giving birth and generation at those points along the ecliptic. So that cross is teaching you the 4 points where matter is produced, always along the horizontal bar of the letter T. Hence, just use your body. Stand up with your legs together, feet together at the bottom, and your arms outstretched horizontally, and there is Tom in all his anatomy. And then when you look at the laminin, which is in your body, laminin, Laminin, and you see that it is in the shape of a cross, and you see from the shape of the biology, the man in the letter T, to the laminin, which is the glue and the light of his substance, his material body, is all in the shape of a T. So of course you're going to go to church and learn about the letter T. You will sit under the dome, and on top of the dome will be Dominus, Thomas, the letter T, the cardinal cross, because it's teaching you. It forever has been, forever, everywhere, Eve, mother of creation, the sine wave. And she's teaching you that cardinal cross is teaching you the horizontal bar is where radiance and gas is produced in its cardinal generative state, God, generation. That cross is God. Make no mistake about it. It's the most holy of all symbols. The cross, the divine cross. Sacred it is. And then the vertical member is pointing to the top, hence the letter T is short at the top. You see, the 4 parts of the letter T at the top, that bar there, that bit is short, you see, that corresponds to the head, and it also corresponds to the sun reaching out to the Tropic of Cancer, where now the liquid part of substance, of matter, is generated. And opposite, right at the bottom of the cross of the letter T, is where earth or solid substance is generated. And that is where, that cardinal cross is where all of those 4 states are generated on the sine wave. That's how Eve gets to be our mother of matter. And so the reason why we love this fixed air that is Aquarius is because it is the humane signs. And every time along the ecliptic that we arrive in one of these air signs, humanity is blessed. The last great Hermetic age was when we were in the signs of the twins, Gemini, when Hermes ruled those 2,000 years. You see, we have had Jupiter, the tyrant, for 2,000 years. Church of St. Peter, Pisces. Jesus, Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus. Big boy of Pisces, the last 2,000 years. Before that was Moses, Aries, fire, war, Mars, Marshall, military, marine, maritime, admiralty, all of those war words, water, Mars being the ruler of the triplicity of water. Also fire, see, he rules Scorpio and Aries, fire and water. Mars has this bisexual nature about him, maritime Mars and fire Mars, right? And so what we had is a lot of war. We had the Egyptians warring, the Greeks, all of those, Marathon and all of those Thermopylae, all those wars. That was in the Aryan period along the ecliptic. Before that was the beautiful Venetian Taurian period where Hathor was worshipped in Egypt. And that was where Venus and Venetian wisdom, that was the age of Aaron and the brother of Mars's, Aldebaran, Taurus. And so we had the Taurian age, and Venus was the ruler, and there was Venetian wisdom on the planet. But before that was Gemini. And that's when we had another mini golden age, or we should say silver age, quicksilver. Mercury is quicksilver, so it's like a silver age. It was a beautiful silvery age where we had and it was humane. Everywhere along the ecliptic we come to this period which is mostly the element which expresses man and his mind and the spirit that he breathes and the hero. And so let us rejoice about Aquarius, guys. Am I still on? Just sing out, please, before we go to the we're going to now go to the fourth one, friends. It's the brown one. It's the solid part of the sine wave, and we're about to finish up. Okay, so I'm still on, am I?
Yes, you are. Yes.
Great, good. All right. So look, this is the last bit, and as you can see, the solid bit's down the bottom there. That's where that corresponds with Capricorn. That's the 10th sign, the 10th part of the ecliptic. It's cardinal. It's the wave amplitude. It's where cosine begins, at the other side of where Cancer was, where the positive cosine began. Okay? This is where the transitory cosine begins. This is solid. This is where solid matter, which is transitory, you see, because it has to return. You see, all that is matter is transitory. It's not eternal. So solid is just, it's transitory. Okay? Nothing happens there, or rather, change happens there. But as for the creative force, it changes. Because you see, along the ecliptic, what happens there in that, where the fourth quadrant begins along the sine wave, this transitory part, because remember the first part, radiance, and the first quadrant corresponds to it, that's positive. Then the second quadrant is negative, the third one is neutral. This solid one begins with transitory, you see. And it must change. That's where a lot of change happens. This is why we incorporate, which is called incarnate. Incorporate, incarnate, resurrect. What we're doing is we're incarnating so that we can change. We can change a lot of things. It's an opportunity to change, and so this solid is the portion along the ecliptic which generates this energy and injects it into creation. And so there you'll see now, you'll see the lighter shade of brown there above the ecliptic. That's the second portion of the ecliptic. That's Taurus. Okay, that's where fixed Earth is in the middle of spring. And it corresponds to the fruit actually growing. There's a lot of growth happens in Taurus. There's a charge. the fruit now, and and everything is charging now. It's the bull climbing the ecliptic still. You see, this is the bull market. Of course, when Ursa Major turns up with a headache in Cancer, now you have the bear market. You see, because now the sun is waning on the ecliptic. But over the side here of Taurus, the bull, it's climbing. Taurus is climbing too, you see. So you've got all these climbing signs on the left side of the ecliptic. You've got Capricorn, starting with Capricorn, you see, climbing. Then Aries, again, is on that side, on the left side. Aries, the first sign, it's there, right there. That's climbing animal. Then Taurus is climbing, charging animal. So you see all that climb in those signs along the ecliptic. It's funny, I mean, no one placed them there. They are there. See, God is I am. So he is. See how am corresponds to the ram and is corresponds to Isis, the ewe, the ram and the ewe, which is the ecliptic. And the ram begins with radiance in Aries, the ram. And the ewe begins opposite, well, or you could say she begins in Cancer, with the second quadrant of the sine wave. Or the ewe is also in Libra, opposite Aries, because that's where Eve, Venus, is the ruler. She's the ruler of the scales, Libra. That's why always Venus is holding up the scales. Eve. Because, see, that sign, the seventh sign, that's where balance occurs along the ecliptic. Those scales represent balance. They're not there for no mistake, man. If they were placed where, say, Leo was, well, wouldn't make any sense. It just wouldn't make any sense at all. And so we see how the signs are corresponding. They're all teaching something. Look at Cancer, the crab. Astrologers have always said the crab is always walking sideways. So the ecliptic is teaching us now that Cancer, the crab, is moving sideways, waning. And this month here is called Tammuz in the Jewish system. And then why do the Jews practice mourning in June, July, in Tammuz, and the Muslims have fasting with Ramadan? Well, you go to Wikipedia and it tells you that Ramadan was originally a moon festival for Isis. Ramadan. Dan, the sun. Rama is the ram. The sun is the ram. Call it. Well, that's the Proto-Germanic word for year, Yaram, Jaram, the original word for year, which year derives from. And so here we have Ramadan, Rama, the sun, the ram, right ascending along the meridian, and he has got his Dan with him, Ramadan. So you see, there's some mourning going on in this sign of Cancer, because the ecliptic it's liquid, it's emotional. Cardinal water, it's emotions. Cancerians are very, very emotional. As in, not that the other signs are not emotional. We all have emotions, because the body is made up of four things. And so the watery part of the body is emotions. And of course, Cancerians are born along the ecliptic at that time when cardinal water, emotions, are generated. Hence you see how they are emotional in their unique way, in a silvery lunar way. Yeah, sometimes lunatic, very, very angular, and very, very cardinal in that they're, you see, the crab is walking sideways, but he's walking because the crab is the scarab. And what does the scarab do? He climbs up that hill with his dung ball, and then he lets it roll it down again. Well, he's the scarab of the Egyptians. The scarab is just a symbol of the ecliptic. Have a look at it. Have a good look at the scarab, the back of it. You will see the cross. There will be a cross on the back of the scarab. Yeah, because this is where the scarab is placed in Cancer. That is, there's three symbols for Cancer: the scarab, the crab, and the unicorn. And the crab is the scarab. And so that's why you get crabby. And you have lamentations and mourning and Ramadan and all of those Jewish, what's that Jewish festival? Let's have a look at that, shall we? I want to hark on this because what we'll do is we will discover that all of the sacred festivals are in these cardinal signs along the ecliptic. Interesting. Well, I'll just finish off with this, guys, but let's have a look at Tammuz. What do the Jews celebrate there? They say that 5 tragedies happened in Tammuz, in Cancer, right? 5 tragedies, the Jews. And they have a fast, the fast of Tom, it's called. Tzom, T-Z-O-M. Please pay attention. This is just astounding, guys. And this is in the Torah, okay? So Tom, the fast of Tzom, and of course the Islamists are having the fast of Ramadan, and that's one of their 5 pillars, by the way. And these are the 5 things that happened in the month of Tammuz. The breaking of the 2 tablets of the law of Moses. Yes, of course, because the 2 tablets are the 2 halves of the year now. Of course, Cancer represents that. When the sun hits the 21st of June, that's it. It's climbed all the way up. All waxing is done. Waning begins. Bingo. The 2 tablets of Moses are split in 2. Broken. And so the second thing, the daily offering, Korban Tamud. Have a look at that word. Korban Tamud. Tam. Was discontinued in the temple. So the offering, the daily offering was discontinued in Tammuz, in Cancer. Of course. It's time to lament. It's time to fast. The sun is waning. It's got to go down to St. Tom's Day, the opposite, 21st of December. Down to Hell and Tommy. And so, third thing, the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem. Yeah, Jerusalem, Hierosalem, the peace of the Ram. Of course, the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem. Jerusalem, the place of the hero, Ares, is breached, in the first instance by Nebuchadnezzar and then by the Romans. Is that a coincidence? Please, this happened in Tammuz, in Cancer. Both of these breaching of the temple. Yes, the temple is the ecliptic. Temple. Tempo, time, chronos. All temples are to old man time. Timmy, cousin of Tommy, friend of Tammy, your tummy. And their belly was their tummy. Because it is we who have the belly, the tummy, children of Tammuz, anatomy, etymology, etc., etc. Anyway, what are the other things? The fourth thing, the Greek apostomos burned a copy of the Torah. This event was later associated with, sorry, I just went off the page. This event was later associated with the beginning of the Bar Kokhba revolt. And the fifth thing is an idolatrous image was placed in the temple. Yes, it's the image of Isis. She is the idol, of course. Idol, idea, dear, goddess, dear, idol. Yes, the idol is Venus or the moon. And when an idol is placed in the temple, it's where the moon, Mary Magdalene, Selene, Helene, whatever you want to call Eleni, she is there on the ecliptic in Tammuz, and that is the idol. It's the month of Tammuz. There's the idol, the moon. She's the idol. She's the prima donna. She's at the top of the ecliptic. No second place for her, man. They didn't put her down in Capricorn. Okay, they didn't put her down over here or over there or anywhere other than that 12 o'clock position on your clock between 12 and 1. She's the prima donna. She is the mother of minutes. Min, nut, nut. Tanit, backwards. Nature, minute. You see, minutes, hours come from Horus, etc., etc. So it's all atomic, and what we've just done today, friends, is we've just learned deep, profound, no apologies, esoteric knowledge and understanding, because understanding is the maturity of knowledge. We now understand the ecliptic, you see. We see that cross of St. Thomas, that cardinal cross, and we know what it means. It is man. Man is in that shape, hence Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. Have a look at that man and you'll see him in his dynamic, legs outstretched position, and you'll see him upright in the letter Tom, and you'll see that as flicking back from the letter T to the letter Y. Tommy, 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 pulsating. That's the pulse that you get, the duality that you get from Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. And you see it, the dynamic, static, Tommy, 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 Tommy. And it's like a slide. And you can see him moving, you know, and in the center is his tummy, his stomach. All right, so, and then when you look at this, just to finish off this sine wave here where Taurus is, that's where solid Earth is, and that's where a fixed Earth is, and it's solid, and that's where your mouth is. Taurus is, the Taurians are vocal. That's the mouth. It rules the bottom of the head. Aries is the top of the head, the cerebrum, cerebrum. Taurus is the cerebellum, the cerebellum. And so it's the voice. I'm speaking through my Taurian Venetian voice, and there is where I eat solid food. And then where it goes down to digest is in Virgo, where mutable Earth is, where it's mutating now in the stomach, oxygenating, called digestion, and the body is hence digesting chlorophyll, making chlorophyll, which is basically oxygenated nitrogen food from the air, and photosynthesis, really. Same process. And so there's the sine wave teaching you. If you place the body along the sine wave and you remember these four graphs, what you will do is you'll see the body along there, the day and the year, and also the backward precessional cycle of precession. Those four things, those four cycles, they are the four cosms. So you have microcosm, mesocosm, and macrocosm, and of course, really you would have, the cosm of an anagogic, the anagogic cosm, and so what you have is the ecliptic teaching you through her cycles, Eve, her wave, Ave Maria. You are learning how the year is spoken of through the language of astrology, or the language of the ecliptic. It is speaking yearly. We have associated, and I do believe I will be doing more on these graphics in the weeks to come, because we've only just begun scratching the surface with these four states: solid, liquid, gas, and radiance. There is so much we can explore. We can explore the earth, liquid, gas, air and fire, which is the Platonic and astrological versions of this. We can explore them to the nth degree. We can go down many tangents in the tangible universe. Everything is tan. Don't forget her. Nat, nature. So it's tangible, yeah? So we can go down the tangent, yeah? Let's not fly off on a tangent, though. So this sine wave is so handy. All of these states, with all of their phases, cardinal, fixed, mutable, or God, generation, operation, dissolution phase, whatever you want to call it, and whatever you want to label it, that's fine, so long as you know it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. But if you place your body along the ecliptic, Aries starting at the top of the head, Pisces the 2 feet, the 2 fish, temple of soul of man, built by Hiram, the Hiram, Aries. Everything starts at Aries. So the temple of the soul of man is starting with Hiram. And so what you will learn is that the day is mimicking this. The first part of the ecliptic is the day part. The last part from Libra onwards is the night part. And yearly, it's the same mimicking. The year is mimicking the day. The morning is the spring. The afternoon is the summer, hot and warm. Then the evening, after sunset, where Saturn exalts in Libra. Libra starts. That starts the winter, the autumn, the autumn, autumnal. Tom turns up everywhere, Tommy, along the ecliptic, because he rules it. He owns it. He is the ecliptic. And then, of course, and then comes the winter, and this mimics the night. You see, midnight is where winter begins, 21st of December. It's midnight. St. Thomas's Day in the year, 21st of December, corresponds to ding-dong 12 times. 12 midnight. It's midnight, night, N-I-T, tin, aton. Midnight, mid, backwards for dim, dim light. See? And that's how the ecliptic works. It's very sexy. It's curvaceous, sinful, sinful. It's very sinful. It's an apple. The apple has a core, a heart. See, we're all children of Apollo. We're all apples of gold. All fruits, and all seeds, and all things come from this ecliptic. This is the language of the universe. As our wonderful brother said, Terence McKenna, it's all language. It's all language. It's a universe of language. And this is the language. We have an atomic language, hence the science of etymology, words, the origin of words. Etymology, the origin of words. Yeah, words, worlds, words, whirling worlds. And so, and how that whirling is the ecliptic. It's the wave. So look, I'd like to get some questions now, I guess, questions and answers, because that should do it. I mean, I've done a half an hour over. I'm very sorry. I'll try and keep my questions short, but I'd just like to encourage everyone, please study the sine wave. You know, make your own graphs with your own hand. Draw it out. Do the horizontal bar, and then start over here on the left here. Always start on the left. It's better, because there's more syncretisms that way. And then you go up to the Tropic of Cancer, and then you go back through down in the middle of that horizontal line, and then you do the bottom half. Just start with that, look at that, meditate on that, stop, and see that dance of two-ness, and then make 4 quadrants. So make atom go from 1 to 2 to 4, and then put in your cross quarter days: 1st of Feb, 1st of May, 1st of August, 1st of November. And that's it. That's the wheel of Dharma, the Dharma wheel. Adam Kadmon. And meditate on that. That's the Chakana, the mandala. Meditate on Hare Krishna mandalas. What's the great one? Someone may be able to help me now. Right now I just can't think, but the Shri Om, or the Shri Mandala. Which one's that? Yep, no problem. But yeah, they have the Shri Mandala, which is I would study that. That's what I would do. Have a look at mandalas, Indian Hindu mandalas, please, just have a look at that and remember this sine wave, and it's 12 segments, and it's 4 states and 3 phases, because this is the mixture of nature, and it's the veil of Isis unveiled.
A gentleman in the chat helped us. His name, he called it the Shri Yantra.
That's it, Shri Yantra. That's the one.
Thank you, Santos.
Yep.
Yes, this gentleman, his name is Melvin Yu, and he actually asked this last week, and I'm glad he came back to re-ask it. All right, Santos, he asks, what's your view on the ABHA torus, Torus, formed out of the doubling and halving of sequences, the 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and 1, 5, 7, 8, 4, 2, and the never-ending 3, 6, 9 pulse in relation to syncretism?
Oh, sorry, guys. I had mute on.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we should go ahead and take the caller.
Okay, I thought there was someone else on. Oh, okay. I had a question. I've been trying to follow along with the graphics, and Santos was explaining the Cardinal Grand Cross, and I don't understand. It was hard for me to put all of that together. Where you actually see that?
Okay. Well, right. Well, let's see if I understand the question and can answer it. So, the cardinal cross is the cross that you see. That it's basically that the letter T. That's the cardinal cross. Yeah, and it's on most of the churches, and usually the letter T with its four stems, pointing out to the 4 quarters, to make the news, NEWS, the news, north, east, west, south. So what this ecliptic is doing, you see, this Tom, is it's actually describing many things to you. One thing it's describing to you is that the 2 horizontal bars are equal in length, and the 2 vertical, the bottom bit's always longer and the top bit is shorter, just like the human body, the T shape of the human body. And so what this is teaching you is about the equinoxes and the solstices. So the top bit, as the sun goes up to the Tropic of Cancer, the sun is up high, and in the summer there, and so it has a very short. Everything has a very, very short shadow. So the sun casts a short shadow in that part of the ecliptic, and especially, way up there when on the 21st of June at the solstice, right? That's maximum. And so wherever you are in the northern hemisphere, that will be the shortest shadow that the sun will cast. Then 6 months later, on the 21st of December, that will be the longest shadow that the sun will cast over there in the northern hemisphere, you see. And you can measure that. Go and measure that, stand outside, make a pole, make a sundial, and measure on the solstice, measure it, you know, make your own sundial, and then go and measure that yearly, and you will see that, you know, at the Tropic of Cancer, the sun is casting very short shadows. And so this is depicted on that cross, the cardinal cross. It is not the fixed cross. This is the point I was making. Maybe you didn't understand that properly, but the fixed cross is it is where the cross quarter days are. It's in the middle, directly in the middle of the cardinal sign quadrants. You see, it fits right in the middle, and it's you know, it resembles the multiply sign, the letter X. You see, so and that's fixed. That's a fixed cross, that shape. You see, whereas the upright one and horizontal, that's the cardinal sign, and the cardinal sign, you know, is the man that, see, the Christ that was crucified was, well, each one of us with our crystals, our atoms, crystals, Christ, and that's the crucifixion is being immersed in 4 states of matter. That's the crucifixion, and the letter T represents this, and the human body represents it, and the cardinal cross teaches it. The cardinal cross teaches about these 4 states: radiance, gas, liquid, and solid. That's what the wave teaches. It's on the wave. All of this information is there. Yeah, I hope that answered.
Okay, caller 162, was that a sufficient answer?
Well, I mean, that was interesting what he was saying, but I still don't. I was trying to understand the graphic. I was very confused when he was talking about the cardinal cross, because I couldn't figure out how to see that on all of these.
All right. Well, the cardinal cross is. You'll notice that all of those graphics are coloured differently. So the bold representation of the colour is the cardinal. That's the cardinal, the bold.
Okay.
So when you see the bold red, that's the cardinal red. When you see the bold blue, that's cardinal blue. The bold gas green, that is cardinal gas. And the brown that's cardinal earth, right? So then the next shade is lighter of each of those colours, and that's the fixed part. That corresponds to the fixed cross. And then you'll see on all the graphs, you'll see that the colour is mute and checkered. Each one of the colours that are mute and checkered, that is mutable. The decaying quality of the 3 phases of these beautiful elements that make the world so beautiful. Electricity is beautiful, you see, because L is belle. L is belle. Even today in Italy, if you are beautiful, you are bella. You are bello. Always belle. You know? And they go on their balconies to go and watch Bale and, you know, watch him set and rise. There's nothing more beautiful. And where he rises is always where Aries is. And where he sets is always where Libra, the scales, judgment, atonement. Remember, 21st of September is Atonement Day. So that would be corresponding in the daily cycle to sunset. You see, Horus, horizon, and sun setting, Horus and Set. It's in our etymology, guys. It's all etymology.
Okay. How was that?
Thank
Thanks for
you.
calling.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Okay, caller 185. Can you hear me?
Yes, I would. I don't really have a question,
Okay.
but I just want to say something to Santos, if you don't mind.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hi. Oh, turn it down. Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? Hello? My name is Tammy, a.k.a. Isis, and I'm calling from Camden, New Jersey. And I really don't have a question for Santos. I just would, because I'm understanding what he's teaching. I just wanted to say to Santos, thank you so much for all of your love and wisdom. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so kindly. I do try to be loving. I mean, everyone does. We are so needing love. You know, that we are so needing love. It's the most absent quality of mankind when people are in their left brain mode, you know, of doing, and not so much being. And so love will heal all the wounds. You know, the psychopaths that are at the other end of our expression here on earth, love will help them heal their wounds too. What would be more beautiful than for all, one and all around us on this planet, to just absolutely grow in a major shift in towards the quality of love and loving kindness, and sharing that, because love will, man, it'll just melt all differences. And syncretism is loving. It's been very kind to me. Syncretism is has blessed me with just moments of just sheer ecstasy. And you know, so I have been treated to some bliss through syncretism. And so one must be really worthy and above reproach to teach this stuff, you know, properly. And you know, I appreciate that you that you appreciate the loving side of what I do, and it's very, very kind, sister. Friends, never ever let us underestimate this love. Love also comes from the well of love that you have inside of you, and we need to all generate. When you're in love, there is no room for fear, or you can control fear. At least there's nothing, you know, totally evil about fear. It's there as the opposite of love in this electrical world. It's love and fear, love and war, love and war. And you see again, war has the letter R in it, and fear has the letter R. Love has the letter L in it. And so, and it all goes back to this proton and electron in electricity. Pra, the rhotic, and L, the lateral. These two sounds, right and left, red and blue. See? And so love is really just a half of war and love, or fear and love. You see? Both fear and war have the letter R in them because they are the same thing. You see? War, warning, water, Mars, maritime, martial, and then on the other side is love. So it needs to be balanced. When it's balanced, then we can master and control fear and use it to good ends. You know, harvest that energy. No, that's it.
Your words are so full of light tonight. You're just
you're floating, and I feel like I'm floating, and the rest of the listeners are just floating with you. You're just radiating. It's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Melvin Yu, who asked his question about the torus, the Torus. He asks Santos, what's your view on the ABHA torus, formed out of the doubling and halving sequences 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5, and 1, 5, 7, 8, 4, 2, and the never-ending 3, 6, 9 pulse in relation to syncretism?
Oh, wow. Yeah, look, I'd like to comment on that, but ABHA, that's Abba, isn't it? And the Hindus, they called the great soul Amit Abba. Amit. A-M-I-T. So it's the one and the same as Atum, Om, Amit. Japanese, Amaterasu, Omikami, Amaterasu. And then they have another one, Amen Ome Nakenushi. Amen. Starts with Amen. So I pointed out in my show yesterday on American Freedom Radio on atomic language, on that show, that the Japanese have the two branches. They have the deity of Amet, and they call it Amaterasu Omikami, the great shining glorious one of time immemorial in the sky, or Amen no Men Nakenushi, which is the same thing, the great shining one in the sky. So they call the one Amat. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You can't make it up. And so ABHA, yeah, look, no, that's about, it's the father energy, Taurus, the bull, L, the toroidal field. And it's Amitaba, Abba, ABHA. Yeah. That's what comes to my mind. But no, I'd need to be a bit more versed in it. Can you tell the listener to forward me anything he has?
Sure.
Beautiful. But rest assured, guys, rest assured the study of the toroidal field and how it works will reflect this language. It's all language. Look at the work of Stan Tenen, great Jewish scholar, amazing, Stan Tenen. And have a look at his work on, Kabbalah and the Hebrew letters, the letter T, all the letters. And you'll see how he puts them around the toroidal field. Everything goes around the toroidal field. All the words. The Hebrew 22 letters, they are all cast from the sun. As the sun goes across the sky from morning to evening, it casts 22 shadows, and they are the shadows of the Hebrew alphabet. If you put on the sundial two intertwining serpents, and that will cast the shadow. And Tony Bushby talks about this in his books, how this alphabet works. It's amazing. And Stan Tenen, on the other hand, he's teaching how the toroidal field produces all these letters. And I'm doing it with the ecliptic, because the ecliptic is Taurus. It's a toroidal field. It is Abba, the father, ABHA.
Yes,
Okay.
I've studied that. That's fascinating when you tie in the Hebrew letters. It's confusing at first, but then once you kind of get the hang of it, it's really nice. It's very enlightening. We do have a couple more questions from the chat. They're around the same subject. Do you have some time, or do you want to call it a night?
No, I've got time for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. The next question is, in Chinese astrology, different years of each animal, rabbit, boar, etc., are assigned different elements: wood, fire, earth, metal. How do these elements fit on the ecliptic?
Yeah, good question. Good question. And they change. There's 5 elements, and every 12 years, as they go through their astrological calendar, so does the quality of the sign. For instance, we are now in the sign of the sheep, the lamb. Okay, and I'm not sure. Can someone tell me what lamb it is? Is it fire, metal, wood, earth?
Wood. It's wood.
It's wood. It's a wood lamb.
Yes.
Okay. So 2015 is the wooden lamb. So all right, well, wood is associated with air and Jupiter. Timber, wood, it's Jupiterian. So it is a loved element in the Chinese system. They love wood. Oh, it's just one of their magic elements, you know. And they always put it there with spring. Yeah, spring. And so the wood there is Jupiter Amun-Ra in the first degrees of Aries. The first 6 degrees of Aries are they are the terms of Jupiter. Jupiter has always been the first, in every system, he's always the first 6 degrees of the ecliptic, Jupiter. Because in every sign, the 5 visible planets get terms. So the 30 degrees of every sign is split up in 5 different terms. And the terms they're not just, 6 degrees each or whatever. Some are 8, some are 2, some are 4. And so the first 6 degrees of the ecliptic is to Jupiter Amun, the ram, the Ovis Amun. And so he's always there in the springtime, and that's why the wood, his element, is there. And it's the spring. And then the fire is the summer, and the metal would be the autumn, I think, and the water would be the winter. The earth is in the middle. And so, the system of 5 elements works because there are, in fact, 5 elements. There is ether, what we call ether, in the Platonic system. So there's 5 Platonic solids, and that would correspond with the dodecahedron. You see, the dodecahedron, and so that would be ether, and then born of ether is the 4 elements below, and they are the other 4 Platonic solids. And so being the lamb, I see the lamb as, in the Chinese system, to correspond with Capricorn, because this is how I have syncretized the 2 systems. The dog is Aries. Start with the dog in Aries, and if you place it like this, because the wolf is where the lamb is anyway, so I figured the Chinese dog is Aries. Then that would make Leo the tiger, and that would make Sagittarius the horse. So you can see their perfect synchronization of the 2 calendars, right, of the 2 astrologies. And that would then make the pig, which is Taurus. So you see you've got the cash cow and you've got the money pig. It's the second sign, the sign of doubling, the second house in astrology, to have. Aries is I am, Taurus is I have. So the pig corresponds definitely with Taurus. Okay. And then Taurus, the cow, they've put in Cancer. Well, it's the cow over the moon, right? So Cancer is Taurus. Cancer is the cow in theirs. You see? So cow, Isis, Hathor, the moon. It definitely corresponds. And then the rat would be Gemini. Ra. Ra is the rat, the animal of Ra, the sacred animal, the rat. And there's Ra in his glory on the ecliptic in Gemini. Phew, spring turns into summer. Gemini. Pah, beautiful season. You know, mixture of seasons in the middle of spring and summer. Gemini. And so that's the rat. And then Leo, of course, as I said, is the tiger. Virgo would be the rabbit. And I'm a rabbit, born in 63. So it's a very Virgoan to me. It would be a Virgoan year. And then the dragon is Libra. Of course, that's where Draco is. Draco is in Libra. Goes from Sagittarius to Libra. And the serpent is Scorpio. Well, of course, the serpent is another, Scorpio is the scorpion, the serpent, and the eagle. And so there is another correspondence. Sagittarius becomes the horse. Capricorn becomes the lamb. And that's pretty, that works, the sheep and the goats. And the monkey is Aquarius. Well, the monkey, the man. And Pisces is the chicken. So mutable water gets to be the bird sign also. So that also corresponds because Scorpio is water and it's an eagle, a hawk, a bird. So I think I've syncretized them. But again, the Chinese have added another spanner in the works by making every 12 rounds a different element of the signs. So, in 12 years' time, we will have a fire lamb. We're in the year of the wood lamb today, this year, and I think those are two good energies. I think a wood lamb is a good lamb. I think it's the best lamb because wood is that Jupiterian blessed element. It's trees give us fruit. We love wood. We need wood, It's look at the word. It's also comes from word. It's got do in it. Domus. Do, any word like the Lord, wood, has do in it, it's atomic, wood. Wood in the mirror is dom, W, wood, W-O-O-D, just flip the W over and take out an O, use your imagination. It's all atomic. They all come from atom. And so a lamb, meaning salvation and all of those. The universe is a lamb. It's a lamp. And so I think it's going to be a good year for that reason. It should be a good year. It really, really should. If it's not a good year, and it was a horrendous year like last year, well then there are entities that need to be really dealt with. Entities that are preventing it, because the energy is here. Aquarius is well and truly here. Pisces finished in 2012. Aquarius started in 1962, 7 o'clock, 5th of February.
Yes, I agree with you. This is the year 2015.
And thank you for synchronizing that. I'm like a little kid. I was so excited as you went all the way through the wheel. Thank you. It's just, I'm so happy how everything synchronizes. And I just feel like a little kid. You just pulls out my happy inner child hearing you speak. And it was also in relation to Chinese astrology. And I think Santos answered it, but still ask it.
Okay, yeah. There must be, he asks regarding Chinese astrology, there must be an explanation for all the dating systems on the planet. And do they have a common root?
Well, primarily we have religious/astrological calendar year, and we have a secular one. And both of them are still pinned to the sacred ancient science. January 1st is the same as April 1st. That's one quadrant of the year. So the year secularly begins in Capricorn, January 1st. It's the sheep and the goats, right? Because in most cultures it always begins in Aries, March 25th, with its then subsequent April 1st. You wait that Holy Week, and then you always begin it with the start of the month. So the months now are gelled in with the astrological signs. And each sign begins on the 21st of each month, or thereabouts. 20th, 21st, 22nd, but it's always around there. Okay? So you always know if someone was born, like myself, on 24th of March, the sun will be on the 2nd degree of the ecliptic. 2nd, 3rd degree. Depends. Could be the 2nd, could be the 3rd degree, but it will be right around there. So anyone who has a birthday that is the 24th of that month, you will know that the sun will be in about 3 degrees of that sign, or the 2nd or 3rd degree. Okay? Yeah, so that's how they've merged the secular months with the astrological months. They work perfectly. It's perfect dance. There's nothing wrong with all these timing systems. They all work. They're all different, but they all are based on the ecliptic. The year, you see, what did we say before about these cardinal signs? Capricorn and Aries. Well, the year begins in Capricorn, January 1st, but it formerly used to begin in Aries, April 1st. And so those are the 2 years. But the Jews tell you that it's in Libra, the other cardinal sign. Yeah? That's their first month, Tishri. And then Aries becomes their 7th month, right? So it's always these cardinal signs. They've got the bulk of all the religious liturgic festivities and celebrations. All of them are in those cardinal signs. Ramadan and the Jewish fasting period, all in Cancer. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur in Libra. Christmas and all of those festivities, Saturnalia and revelries in Capricorn, of course, where Saturn rules, naughty boy. And Easter and the Passover lamb and Passover and Pesach, all in Aries. They're all there in the cardinal signs, all of them. The bulk of them. The bulk of the important ones. There they are. The ecliptic speaks.
Please go ahead.
Yes? Okay. This is Janice calling in again. You were saying, Santos, that this is supposed to be a great year, and in my heart I feel that, but that is not what's happening in my life. It's been pretty horrible. And I wanted to know if you could look at my chart and tell me, is there any hope of this being a good year for me?
What do you mean right now?
Is that possible?
Well, what do you reckon, guys?
It's up to you.
Yeah, well, let's have a quick look, I guess. We can look at the positives that are coming your way, I guess.
That would be great.
All right. What are the details? Details?
Janice, what's your birth date, sweetie?
Oh, August 3rd, 1956. And I'm
August
not really
the 3rd.
sure of the time. I think it's 7:30, but I'm not in the morning, but I'm not sure.
Oh, you really need to be specific with the time. But anyway, look at 7:30. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it, that in our culture the time has been so neglected. The time is so crucial, man, to plan out those houses and to know all the houses.
It's not on my birth certificate or death certificate or whatever you call that thing.
Is that the 3rd of August?
Yes.
The 3rd of August, 1956, and place?
Inkster, Michigan.
Yeah, I'll need a spelling.
Can you spell your city in Michigan?
Inkster.
IMK, is it?
Mm-hmm.
IMKSTER?
Yes.
No, I don't get anything.
Try N as in Nancy. Inkster.
Inkster, Michigan. Oh, yeah. It is N. Yeah, look, the reason I'm doing this, normally don't do chart readings, guys, okay? So, but the reason I'm doing this is, and now you've got the look up this chart. Get on, write the details down, and then, and this way it can be for the benefit of all of us. So rather than just for, one individual. But, yeah, so the details are 3rd of August, 1956, 7:30 a.m., Inkster, I-N-K as in ink, pen ink, and then star, S-T-E-R, Inkster, Wayne, Michigan. Okay, so just have a look at the virtues of the chart, shall we? I won't, yeah. Well, if you were born at 7:30 here, you've got Jupiter rising, and that's a pretty good thing. And you've got Mercury, you've got Moon and Venus in Gemini. That is a great conjunction. We've got, yeah, well, look, you don't have a lot of planets in Aries. You don't have anything in Aries or Capricorn, which are seriously being stimulated right now. And so Uranus won't be affecting the Aries, and Pluto won't be affecting your Capricorn. So because that's one of the major squares that are going on right now, and everybody's been affected to it to some degree or another. That major square, which will probably end in April this year. That's why I say it's going to be a good year. You're probably suffering a lot now, I know. I mean, we all are. I am. I did speak about ecstasy and bliss that syncretism gives me, but it's not all, bliss and ecstasy. It can't be. Not in this world. Not in this vibrational world.
Mm-hmm.
It can if certain things occur, like critical mass, awakening. People have to, just accept love, and then there won't be the degree of suffering. There'll be some suffering, So, and I really believe, and I think it's a good thing to believe, even though it may not come what I believe, because it's belief. It's not knowing. I don't know what the near future will bring, but the stars are a language that teach that, this month will be a rough month, because, and then when the equinox occurs very soon, this will bring about a change. Many, many, many good changes. It will bring about many good changes. And, our manifest turnaround time is speeding up every day. We are manifesting much, much faster what it is that we want. Remember, as above, so below. You must look after your temple. Please, please clean your temple. If you do not clean your body, your own temple, the earth will be dirty. It is dirty because we are dirty. We have parasites in our organism feeding off our energy. We have all our organs are blocked with stones, liver stones, gallbladder stones, gallstones, I mean. What are the other ones called? Pancreatic. So there is a flush to get rid of these, and the Andrea Moritz flush. And that would be an area where I would give a lot of attention to, because a lot of suffering comes from our own eating habits. We're cooking food. Now look what we do to these beautiful vegetables. 1 hour in the pot boiling, so we have a nice delicious cocktail of smells and tastes called soup. But would you do that to your hand? Would you boil it for an hour? Just sit there on the oven, stick your hand in there and watch TV and 1 hour, and then just You know, what are you going to do with that living organism, your arm, and from, you know, with that? Yeah. What we're doing is we're torturing the food. And then we eat this tortured food that is begging not to be assimilated into the body in such a way. And then we expect to have great emotions and I want to be chirpy and happy or whatever. So it starts with the temple. All of our angriness, all of our bitterness, all of our troubles, all of them spring from our mind, which is called a body. Your body is a mind. It's your mind. The brain is the organ of the mind that does the thinking. But the nervous system, the blood, it's all mind. And if that body requires food in its natural state, and you're giving it food that nowhere in nature is cooked food presented to animals, they do not cook their food. It's not sophisticated. There's an aspect of cooking food that's sophisticated, yes. Oh, yeah. Because you can draw poisons out of foods and make them, rather than acidic, you can make them alkaline. There's other things you can do, change their chemistry slightly to be less toxic or whatever and beneficial. You know, some plants are known to have, great value in a cooked state. But the body is requiring natural food, you see. And so it's so important. I'm pretty much 100% raw food vegan. Smoothies every day, all kinds of vegetables and fruit and salads and all kinds of exotic raw food dishes. Man, we had spaghetti yesterday with sun-dried tomatoes, beautiful raw tomato soup, and zucchini spaghetti. You know, we're going to make coconut spaghetti. There's no end. It tasted 10 times better than any spaghetti dish I've ever had in my life. And it's raw. So I know I'm labouring this point, but it's very, very important. Yeah, look, you don't have a very bad, I shouldn't say that. You don't have a bad chart at all, sister. You're a Leo. You've got the sun and Uranus in Leo. When you were born in 56, Uranus was in Leo. When I was born in 63, Uranus was in Virgo. So that's an interesting thing. You've also got Pluto in Leo. Now, 4 planets in Leo, that's the heart. You would be a very, very passionate person. You know, I see the heart, speaking with that kind of very communicative heart. If you've got both Uranus and Mercury, octaves of each other in the heart, Leo, that's pretty good. I think it's very communicative heart. Look, some of the sorrows you're having too, sister, they could be, like on a weekly or monthly. You might see a pattern in them. And what I would do is have a diary. And when you are down, pay attention to where the planets are. Have a look at where the North Node is. I see your North Node is in Sagittarius. So Saturn is there now on your North Node, right? So I'm hunching that that's going to bring you some goodies, because the North Node is about gifts and good things. You've got Saturn on there for the next, 2 years or so. So you might want to measure that one. And actually it's very, very close to your natal Saturn. You've just gone back. You've just been through your Saturn, your second Saturn return. So you're out of that now. You're just out of it. So that should bring some great stuff for you. So your Saturn was in Scorpio, which he exited, I think, in November last year, and entered Sagittarius, where your North Node is in the 6th degree, and Saturn is in the 26th degree of Scorpio. So you've just passed your Saturn return. That should be good for you. And I think it's conjunct the North Node in Sagittarius now is going to bring you some goodies, and it will be trining with all of those fellows in Leo. going to be trining with all of those 4 planets in Leo. So, you know, looks good. A lot of it
Okay.
looks, yeah, very promising.
Thank you so much.
That's
that gives
based
me great
on 7.
hope.
Yeah, that's based on 7:30. You know, morning. There's so much nice stuff in there. Really, if you were born at this time, it's a beautiful time because I can see where you have your appreciation for spiritual things. If something is in the 12th house, that brings out spiritual nature. It also brings a lot of fear and anxieties, though, the negative side of it. But it does bring back, stimulates the subconscious, and you know, talks back to past lives and deep part of our psyche. And so it's interesting. You've got 3 planets there in the 12th house at this time that you were born. So, you know, that's to use that as a positive, you know, to draw from for your spiritual matters. Jupiter on the ascendant, can't get better than that. Jupiter by day on the ascendant, that's bound to bring great things, generous and bounteous things, and happiness. Jupiter is happy. If you've got a good ray of Jupiter in your chart, you have a good streak of happiness. Yesterday, a friend turned up, and he's just such a happy person. He's a happy individual. He does the cleanses and the fasts, and he's always positive. Born on the 5th of December. There you go. Sagittarian, Jupiter. Happy dappies. So again, you know, that's going to be interesting for you. A couple of years of Jupiter conjunct your North Node. See what that brings in terms of goodies.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, one more question. That should do it.
There's one more, I think, that's in the chat, and we can finish with this one. It's from Mehdi, and he asks about the coming spring equinox and the supermoon and solar eclipse that's coming soon. Santos, he asked you if you have any feelings about it.
Yeah, I do. I can't remember now the dates. If someone can forward me the date of the blood moon, I think it's Nisan 14. It is absolutely Nisan 14. It always is. I remember that from my Jehovah's Witness days. See, this is what's so unique about these. This is the 3rd of the tetrad. 2 of these blood moons occurred at the equinox of Aries, Nisan 14, 2014, and the opposite one in Libra, Atonement Day, at One Day, in Libra Tishri. So Aries is Nisan. Nisan 14 is the full moon. When the full moon is on, that's it. That's I believe that is. I don't know the date though in our calendar, whether it's in March or whether it's in April. But of course, you know,
April 4th.
April is
April 4th.
April 4th. There you go.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, look out for it, guys. It's going to bring martial energy with it. Mars is going to be the feature of it, you know, because Mars is in Aries. I'll have to actually, what I'll do is I'll pull up the chart right now of the day. How about that for finishing off with the 4th of April?
Awesome.
Let's have a look at this blood. Yeah.
I'm looking. Oh man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so the moon will be opposite in Libra, okay? That's always Nisan 14 Passover moon. The moon is always at the side over there where opposite Aries, because a full moon is an opposition. That's what a full moon is. So this is a full moon, 2015. Okay, 4th of April 2015. I've got 12:30 p.m. That'll do it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the moon is interesting because the moon. There you go. Look at that. The moon is conjunct the North Node, guys. The moon is 9 degrees. Yeah, and the North Node is 10 degrees. Oh well, it's 10 minutes earlier. The moon would have been at 10 degrees. So there you go. 10 minutes later. So the moon is conjunct the North Node in Libra. That's the fascinating thing about it. And the sun is conjunct Uranus and Mercury in Aries. Okay, that's going to be There is a grand trine in fire, a kite, and it's pointing to the moon at the north node, at the top of the kite. So the moon conjunct north node are at the top of the kite. Saturn and Jupiter, the two big boys, are the next part of the triangle at the top of the kite, and then in Sagittarius and Leo respectively. And the Sun conjunct Uranus will be at the other end of the grand trine. So a fire grand trine. Fire is radiance, guys. So look out for the radiant April festivities, Easter and the blood moon. Radiance, that will be the key word. There will be a lot of radiance, Ra energy. And look, it has to be both good and evil on the two sides, but we always need to capitalize on the good and see the good. Okay, otherwise the universe is not worth living in. Okay, we need that love. Either it's going to end all bad or it's going to end all good. And I think we are part of the writers of the script. I'm sure we are part of demiurge mind thinking, electrical mind thinking and knowing. And I'm sure that we have spiritual help from the higher realms, angels. And I'm sure that we are loved by the universe. The universe makes love. It's a generator of love. Adam, amore.
I agree on
Love.
that.
Wisdom. Yep. Okay, guys. That's it.
That was a beautiful way to end the show.
Yeah, let's do part 3. I'll do one more part because I can do 20 parts really, but I want to mix it around too. You know what I mean? And have different titles. But I will do another one because the reason why is those 4 graphs. Once you combine them in one, then that will, just simple like that. Just combine the 4 with that information. Leave it simple. You combine it in one, then you'll have another way of looking at this wave, right? And then what we can do is we can start adding all the other information, the alchemical information that goes in the signs, the astrological, and etc., etc. So we can add the words cardinal, fixed, mutable. We can add fire. We can add the polyhedra, and show that they're all merging with the one, and that what a great place to start to break down the sine wave in 4 parts.
Thank you, everyone. And Santos, I leave you to close the show.
Okay, so when I finish, we're out. Thanks, friends. Thanks, one and all. It is wonderful, truly wonderful to have syncretism. It's a gift. It's a gift from the universe of light. Light is language. It's words. We are wordsmiths. We are generating vibration from our mouths. That generation goes out to create. And just like we generate with our hands, and we build homes, and we make things, well, that sine wave of the hands is also physically creative. The voice, the hands. And so, I'd just like to encourage one and all to study the sine wave. Look at that sine wave and learn its language. None of the details that are put into the sine wave can be mistaken. They can never go in the wrong place. It all fits. It's like a Swiss watch. It's a miraculous, beautiful science. This ecliptic and the 12 signs, and all of this that we're doing. This is back engineering universal mind thinking, so as to know how to reassemble that clock, that oneness of the clock. So spread the word, share the audios and the shows with folk, get people exposed more and more to syncretism and atomic theology. So I'll leave off with Omnia Vincit Veritas and Carpe Diem.